Addiction and substance use has been a major social issue in Canada. This issue is important to me because it's spoiling people's lives and it's awful to see youth dying young due to overdose. Addiction is a psychological and physical inability to stop consuming a chemical, a drug, an activity, or a substance, even though it's causing psychological and physical harm. Causes of addiction are biology. The genes that people are born with account for about half a person's risk for addiction. Sex, ethnicity, and the presence of mental disorders are some of these. 2. Environment. A person's environment includes many different influences. Factors such as stress, peer pressure, physical and sexual abuse, and trauma can affect a person's likelihood of addiction. 3. Development. Genetic and environmental factors are some developmental stages in a person's life, affecting addiction risk. The earlier that drug use begins, the more likely it will progress to addiction. Everyone is impacted by addiction because it causes harm in society annually and in economic losses. The most popular excuse many with an addiction will give is, "I'm not hurting anyone but myself." This is, however, far from the truth. From reckless driving to violent behaviors and taxing on an entire system, addiction in Canada affects far more than just users themselves. Since more people are hospitalized from addiction, it results in hospital beds that were taken from other people who may have needed them, which could have been prevented. Each year, 400,000 British Columbians suffer from some form of addiction or substance misuse. Spouses, children, and parents who witness a family member struggling with addiction experience emotional damage as well as financial, legal, medical, and other consequences. As days or weeks go by, peaceful, loving homes can be divided by the strain caused by addiction. Conflict becomes normal as family members fight and trust begins to erode. During the using phase, individuals may develop a sense of fear and worry. This can worsen over time, leading to anxiety and depression. In families, the long-term impacts are the personal relationships that are strained and the emotional strain. It is quite common for families to face financial obstacles for years to come. This may put a family's home on the line and the entire family may struggle as a result. There may also be an increase in crime and violence within the community, as well as cost for the province for every civilian undergoing addiction. Individuals may be afraid to walk on the streets seeing drug addicts. Some specific examples of ways this issue impacted our community is that British Columbia marks 5 years since declaring the opioid crisis a public health emergency, and those who've been on the front line since the beginning warn things are only getting worse. Overdose sites are more important than ever during the pandemic, as the drug supply is more toxic than it's ever been. This news story shows that addiction is an important issue. Addiction is connected to other issues in our environment like homelessness. The result of homelessness is often due to substance abuse. Most homeless people are alcohol dependent and dependent on other harmful chemicals. So if addiction is looked upon, this may reduce the number of homeless people. Jagmeet Singh has spoken about this issue and has shared the story of his dad's addiction and how it affected him. He believes that every single person in our country should have access to care they need. They also promise to work with the provinces and territories to support overdose prevention sites and end the criminalization and stigma of drug addiction. One change a person can make to everyday behaviors to address addiction is know that drugs are out there and how to avoid them. Stay in the right company, and if you know someone who is doing drugs, get them help and volunteer at charities and centers. So what can we do to stop addiction and substance use? Let's start by not ignoring this social issue. Dan's Legacy is a non-profit organization that provides trauma-informed and culturally sensitive counseling and life skills intervention programs to youth affected by mental health and addiction issues. They provide counseling and wraparound programming directly to the community and partner with other community organizations that also provide wraparound support services such as housing, education, and job skills training. Mission: to provide youth who have experienced trauma with effective counseling, education, vocational, and other support programming. Vision: at-risk youth through insight and empowerment have the opportunity to achieve their full potential and contribute to their community. Dan's Legacy values honesty, integrity, and transparency and strives to ensure that their organization represents the people they serve. Some of Dan's Legacy's programs are their fitness program, food bank program, Sunday Haven program, and much more. The fitness program is provided to improve mental and physical health, which is a supervised training. Trauma is often locked in the body, and when released through physical activity, it can trigger heightened emotions. The food bank and Sunday Haven program is a twice-weekly food bank and weekly hot meal program which feeds approximately 300 people each month who are experiencing food insecurity issues. Dan's Legacy was founded in the memory of a young man who, after surviving sexual abuse as a teenager, self-medicated with hard drugs in an attempt to numb the psychological pain of the traumatic experience. He received help from substance abuse recovery programs on 2 occasions but did not have access to essential one-to-one therapy. Tragically, Dan relapsed, overdosed, and died. He was 19. Some key statistics about the charity's work are number of youth clients in 2020 300, Indigenous youth clients 45%, LGBTQ youth clients 30%, average monthly sessions for counseling team 200, number of youth and young mothers accessing food bank each week 150. Ron grew up bouncing back and forth between foster care and living with an aunt. When he first started counseling sessions with Dan's Legacy, he exhibited dangerous behaviors such as hard drug use, suicide ideation, and dissociative episodes that were sometimes criminal. But after 6 months of therapy, he is well into the trauma work, avoiding hard drugs and making plans to live instead of planning suicide. One of the self-regulation techniques was helping him to start playing a piano again. Dan's Legacy's therapist provided him with a donated piano. Ron is now in his second semester of an online college course and he plans to work full-time once he finishes the course. Dan's Legacy has a 50% success rate in helping youth to stabilize in only 4 months and begin working towards their education, employment, and recovery goals. Some of their clients have experienced such severe trauma that they need longer-term counseling and they work with them for as long as it takes. Their Intro to Cook Work Skills program helps youth to stabilize even more and have the training to get well-paying jobs in the food industry. This program was designed to ensure long-term positive outcomes for mental health stability in their clients. The youth with whom they work with that are at high risk for lifelong mental health issues, homelessness, addiction, gang involvement, overdose, and suicide. The strains these behaviors put on the healthcare and justice system in our province is extreme and costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. If not addressed early on when the youth is asking for help, within 3 to 5 years they will be on the streets and it's very difficult to help them out after that. This doesn't even begin to address the personal pain experienced by these youth and the resulting chaos in the community. COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on their youth clients and they have seen a 50% increase in hospitalizations for psychosis, overdose, and suicide attempts since the start of the pandemic last year. They know that people's mental health is really suffering right now and at-risk youth have been particularly affected. Poverty, food insecurity, affordable housing, and mental health issues are all combined, and their work helps to address all of these issues. COVID-19 has reduced the number of volunteer opportunities they can provide, but in normal times they welcome volunteers to help prepare meals and wash dishes at their weekly Sunday Haven community dinner. They also hold an annual fundraising gala and need many volunteers to help run that event. To have a bigger impact on their work, people may like to consider becoming a member of Dan's Legacy and volunteering to serve on their board of directors. Dan's Legacy is unique because they are the only group of therapists that go directly to the youth wherever they are. They don't have a waitlist and all of their programs are free. The $1,250 grant will go into their general funds and help pay for counseling therapy for our youth. Because they partner with other organizations in the community who dollar match their counseling fees, the value of the grant doubles to $2,500. These are some other charities located in the local community that address the social issue addiction and substance use. You can find Dan's Legacy on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Flickr. These are my sources and here is a clip from the charity's video. Thanks for watching.
Sometimes I meet them in the hospital. Sometimes I meet them in jail. Sometimes I meet them on the street. What we need is a recognition that therapy is as significant as an injection place. You know, this whole structure that we're talking about needs to be balanced, and harm prevention really needs to be recognized.